These are some of the rarest human conditions. So Kayla Hansen suffers from what is believed to be the most painful disease in the world called complex regional pain syndrome, which causes her to feel a constant sensation of burning from the inside out. Fu Wengwei was born with congenital scoliosis, which results in 3 extra vertebrae in the back of his neck, leading to an unusual extension, while Shiloh Pepin was born with syronomyelia, and with both of her legs were born fused together. Caitlin Thornley from Texas has a mystery illness that causes her to sneeze 20 times a minute, and Will Perringwood has pseudobulbar effect, a condition that yields uncontrollable laughter for an undefined period of time. Louise Wedderburn has a disease dubbed Manneken disease that causes muscles and tendons to gradually turn into bone, creating a second skeleton that limits her movement. Julia Gunthal has a rare form of hypermobility that allows her to contort her body to the extremes, while Francisco Domingo has a missing hinge in his jaw area, which allows him to stretch his mouth nearly 7 inches. And finally, Munira Abdullah of the UAE was in a coma for 27 years before miraculously waking up, and is now able to communicate with her family after somehow surviving the unconscious state. That's crazy. These are some humans with extremely rare genetics. So Deepak Paswan was born with 8 limbs as a result of a parasitic twin during birth, although he recently underwent pioneering surgery that successfully removed the extra limbs. Runa Begum was an Indian girl who had a condition in which fluid in her head would cause her cranium to be twice the size of a normal head, but unfortunately she passed away prior to surgery. Similarly, Jackson Buell was born with only 20% of his brain, but lived to the age of 5 before succumbing to health issues. Muhammad Kaleem was born with local gigantism in his hands, which resulted in hands that are 5 times the size of normal ones, although he's recently underwent surgery to normalize the size of his fingers. Gary Turner, a sideshow act in the UK, is able to stretch his skin over 6 inches, allowing him to do some pretty crazy things. Then we have Wang Fang, who was born with a backwards foot, although she was able to learn to walk perfectly fine. And finally, Madame Demange had an abnormally large skin tag spawning from her forehead that caused a horn to grow that was in excess of 10 inches. Pretty crazy, right? These are some people with extremely rare genetics. So Hatali Bagay, labeled Bubble Boy, was born without an immune system, meaning he had little to no defense against any diseases or infections, though luckily he underwent gene therapy to correct for this rarity. Lizzie Velasquez is one of 3 people to have neonatal progeroid syndrome, which prevents her from gaining weight and causes blindness in one eye. She's become a motivational speaker, however. Paul Carrison famously has Argyria, which has earned him the nickname Papa Smurf for his blue skin as a result of silver consumption. Didi Kawara has a rare skin disorder called EV that causes him to have growth similar to that of tree bark, which has given him the nickname Tree Man. Ashley Morris is allergic to water after a heavy dose of penicillin altered her histamine levels, which means she can't shower, swim, or even sweat without causing massive discomfort. Ectrodactyly, commonly called lobster claw, has affected everybody in the Stiles family of Pittsburgh, and the son Grady even went on to be a successful circus performer. And finally, Qian Hongyan of China has adopted a basketball as a prosthetic after losing her legs in an accident. Pretty cool, right?
Unique features due to rare genetics. Heterochromia. This mesmerizing feature is where somebody has 2 different colored eyes. This 8-year-old boy and his dog both have a disorder called vitiligo. This person was born with no fingerprints at all. Imagine the trouble they could get into. This person doesn't have a middle joint on any of their fingers. And this has to be one of the coolest birthmarks I've ever seen. Unique features.
People who have rare genetics.
It's just a cigarette and it cannot be that bad.
Honey, don't you love me and you know it makes me sad.
It's just a cigarette like you always used to do.
I was different then, I don't need them to be cool.
People who have rare genetics.
3 signs that you have extremely rare genetics. Save this video and send it to anybody who has any of these traits. They are extremely lucky. I'm saving the craziest for last. In 3rd place, we have something that seems very common, but it's actually very, very rare, and only 2% of the population has this trait. What I'm talking about here is actually just having green eyes. Only 2% of the population has green eyes according to Google, meaning that there is a 98% chance that everybody watching this does not have green eyes. Sign number 2 sounds very simple and unrealistic, but it's actually true, and it's simply being over the height of 5'9". The average height for men in America is 5'9", meaning that if you are only 5'10", you are in the top percentile of heights of men in America. And what's even more rare is only 14.5% of the male population is over the height of 6 foot. Sorry to my short kings out there. For girls, by the way, you only have to be 5'5" to be above average. The 3rd sign that you have extremely rare genetics, and not only that, you are very lucky if you have this trait, but only 20% of the people on the planet have never had acne.
These are some humans with extremely rare genetics. So Victoria Cross has a case of vitiligo in which it only affects one side of her body, including her face. Sarah Gertz is a 30-year-old who has a rare skin disease that causes the skin to stretch and causes intense early wrinkles. Similarly, Charlie Mugaria has progeria, which makes her look double her age as a result of premature aging. A pair of twins named Stevie and Eddie suffer from Prader-Willi syndrome, which leads to a reduced hormone production that makes them hungry 24/7 with no way to satiate. Nang Yuhoi of China has a condition that allows him to see in the dark perfectly, which sounds cool, but the trade-off is ultra sensitivity to light, which makes going outside nearly impossible. And speaking of eyes, Jalicia Nightingale is only one of few humans with ice blue eyes. Harnum Kaur is a woman with PCOS that increases her male hormone production, leading to a full beard easily being grown on her face, which isn't nearly as much as Jesus Chavez has on his face due to werewolf syndrome, which causes excessive hair growth. And finally, Shyla Madison was born with uncomfortable hair syndrome, which causes her hair to permanently look like this and oftentimes break from the root due to the structure. Pretty cool, right? How rare.
The rarest human mutations that actually exist. Alright, firstly, did you know about 25% of people have photic sneeze reflex, meaning they can sneeze just by looking at the sun? Next, did you know about 3% of the population has no odor at all, but about 1% has something known as fishy odor syndrome, meaning when they sweat, it smells like fish. Now, about 80% of people have lines that form an M on their palms, and many people believe this is a sign of good fortune. However, 4% of people have an X on their palms, and this is believed to be that they will become great leaders. Moving on, how many colors do you see in this image? You can pause it if you want to, but if you saw 33 to 39, you could be part of a select group that has supervision. Finally, only 53 people in history have had the blood type RH null. It's known as the golden blood type because it's worth its weight in gold.
How rare do you actually think you are? Well, let's see. So the rarest eye color is green and only 2% of people have it. Blue is pretty rare too at about 8%. The rarest zodiac sign is Capricorn, so if your birthday falls from December 22nd to January 19th, then you fall within this range. Red hair is the most unique with only 1% of the population having it, although naturally blonde people make up just 2% of the population. Only 12% of people worldwide are over 6 feet tall, and if you're a girl, that drops to under 1%. Just 3% of people consider black to be their favorite color, and purple and orange are pretty rare too at around 4%. If you're left-handed, then you're part of an elite group of just 10% of people, and then the rarest personality type is INFJ, which only 2% of people have. So let me know if you have any of these rare characteristics.
The rarest genetic mutations in the world, part 1. Being short-sighted, 2 in 5 people. Having a super strong sense of taste, 1 in 10 people. Being left-handed, 3 in 25 people. Having blue eyes, 2 in 25 people. Being colorblind, 7 in 100 people. The rarest genetic.
Here are some people with extremely rare genetics. This is Charlie Mugaria. She has something called progeria, and this condition actually makes her look double her age. And this is Jesus Chavez. He has something called werewolf syndrome, which causes excessive hair growth. And this is Lizzie Velasquez, and she has neonatal. This causes blindness in one eye and also prevents her from gaining weight, and she's 1 in 3 people to have this. And this man has the nickname Papa Harrison. He has something called argyria. He has this as a result of silver consumption, which caused his skin to turn blue. Here are some people.
This is how rare your body is. 35% of people have something called hitchhiker's thumb. It lets you bend your thumb back super far. This is called Morton's toe, and it means your second toe is longer than your big toe. 22% of people have this, so check your foot right now. People with red hair are incredibly rare. Only 2% of people in the world have this. Chances are you've never seen someone with gray eyes. And that's because only 1% of people in the world have this. And finally, this condition is called vitiligo, and it happens when patches of your skin turn lighter. Only 0.5% of people have some form of this condition.
Zara discovers that lipodystrophy is caused.
Amina Appendieva.
Rarest physical features a human can have. So you have this, you're super rare, and so green eyes. 2%? Yo, I know one person with green eyes. Okay, I know a lot of people with that. That gotta be higher. I've never seen somebody with that. Actually, I don't know. Do you got that?
12% chance.
12% chance. One time I dreamed black and white, bro. Rarest physical.